Now, last thing before we end the show, we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon. Pretty fast show here, about 45, 50 minutes so far. But we have our 2017 predictions.
Yep.
You can make up whatever predictions you want. And then next year, for our last show, when we are still recording, we will
Good save.
we will get points for those and see who had the most points in proper predictions.
Okay.
Okay?
I didn't come up with very many predictions for this episode.
Just 2, 3 if you can.
All right, I had 2. One of them we already talked about because we talked about the Switch. Because I was gonna predict price point.
If it's any consolation, I haven't made up any either written down. I have them all just like kind of guessing in my head what I want to say.
Okay. So since we already threw it out there, my number
3
prediction is going to be that the Nintendo Switch will come out. It'll be $300, and I think it'll sell well. I think enough people will be nostalgic for Nintendo at that point. I think the novelty of being able to take it with you on the go or play it at home will grab a lot of people, and I will also predict that their launch lineup will not suck, that it will be a decent lineup.
Okay. I'm also going to kind of follow your footsteps with number 3. Will you write yours down later on and send them to me?
Maybe.
I'll have to listen to the recording then. I just realized I wasn't writing these down. My number 3 is going to be that Switch definitely comes out. I think it's going to be $350 or $400.
Okay.
I think closer to $400 because they're going to do a bundle with that Mario game. Okay. And I think that they're going to include 2 different, all the extra controllers in it too. So I think you're going to have the basic controller, the classic, the retro one.
So you got the Joy-Con left, right.
The Joy-Con left, right. And they're also going to have the basic one, which...
the Pro Controller?
The Pro Controller.
Okay, got it.
And that and Mario's going to be bundled in with it.
Interesting.
To where it's going to be $400.
Interesting. That would be actually a really good price on a bundle. That would be my assumption.
I think that also with the Switch... being released, this is also a part of my bid, is that it's going to have a few issues at launch.
What? No way.
With 2 things. With internet connection.
Okay.
As well as establishing... what was it? It was internet connection as well as with connection issues where it docks and undocks.
The docking?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think those are going to have a few problems, a few snags here and there, and it's going to take about maybe a month for them to get recovered with a few firmware patches.
Okay. I would disagree with those 2 predictions, but just because I
throw them out there, predictions.
No, that's fine.
Number 2.
I think that...
I love this show.
Do you want me to go first for the
number 2? Yeah,
Okay.
We'll go back for
I think that the Xbox Scorpio is going to be coming out this year. I think it's probably going to be at least $400, if not more. And I don't think it's going to set the world on fire. I think it's going to come out and people are going to be like, okay, now what? I don't think it's going to be as big of a deal as what Microsoft is hoping for it to be. I think it'll be a very powerful console. I don't think console people are going to care. I think it'll be about as well received as the PlayStation 4 Pro. Where people are like, all right, cool, that's an option. If I don't have an Xbox, maybe I'll pick up the more powerful one, but I'm not going to upgrade or anything like that.
Okay.
So I think it'll be okay. I don't think it's going to be a savior for Xbox.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You want number 2 for me, please?
Number 2.
I think that my prediction for 2017 number 2 is going to be with VR.
Okay.
I think that during E3, Sony's going to announce that they are going to continue their VR lineup.
I hope so. That would be super disappointing.
Let me finish. They're going to continue their VR lineup with very strong titles. They're first party and third party, and one of those is going to be an additional add-on, but it's going to be a full-fledged story game campaign and multiplayer of the next Call of Duty.
Really?
Because right now they have... The last 2 years have had it under their belt for a partnership.
Promoting Call of Duty stuff?
And with them being the only one with VR, Microsoft does not. I think they're going to try to use that as leverage.
Okay. Cool. It will be interesting, too, because by that point, the game... Resident Evil will have been out for doing like a solid AAA VR experience. Sony's game Farpoint should be out by that point. So that's a first-person shooter where it's got a dedicated peripheral for first-person shooting. So if Call of Duty could work with that peripheral, that might be pretty fun. I don't know if it would be viable for multiplayer, but for single player, for sure.
Okay, yeah, so not going to be dedicated just for VR, both like Resident Evil, like either VR or not, and play both ways.
So it's the same campaign regardless of how you're playing.
Exactly.
Interesting. And just for single player, not for multiplayer?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Number one.
All right, so the number one that I just came up with off the top of my head, that now just
if you want to do 4, we can do 4.
My head was number 1.
Number 2.2.
No, you were talking about VR, and then I was like, I should make a VR prediction. What was it? Go for your number 1. Number 1.
Oh, shit, I just took a recent.
You're going to be down for 5 minutes. All right.
Number 1 for me.
What's my prediction? I just had it. It was a good one, too.
Next year. Next year, they're going to show trailers at some point for the next Star Wars.
Okay.
Rogue 2. It's not named Rogue 2. But... where was I going with this?
I don't know.
No, and it's gonna be named something with the number 2 in it.
Okay. That's it?
I haven't seen the first one, so I can't speak about it.
Well, the
end.
Rogue One basically ends and sets up A New Hope, so it's not like they're gonna make a sequel to it.
No. But it's gonna be another Star Wars movie between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh. Interesting.
But it's going to have the number 2 in it. Like Rogue Squadron 2 or something like that. Rogue 2 or something like that. And there is going to be an announcement at E3 or PSX for a Lego game tie-in.
Interesting.
For Rogue 1 or Rogue 2.
Cool. I still can't remember what my number 1 prediction was going to be.
I can keep going if you want.
Let me think about it. Because, all right, I had a good one. All right, so you were saying
Call of Duty and VR.
Call of Duty and VR. Oh, I know what it was going to be. Because I was like, I'll make a VR prediction. And then you're going through this, and I was like, that's actually a pretty good prediction. I like that. Oh, I know. I'll come up with a completely non-VR related prediction. All right, go ahead. Give me the number 1.
Number 1.
I think Destiny, the revision, Destiny Complete number 2 will be revealed, not at Sony's stage, at E3 this year. I would like it to be on Sony, because I like that they've had a good partnership. But I think Microsoft is going to try to steal Bungie back. I think the Destiny 2 is going to be coming out, that it's a real thing, completely different, not an expansion to the base games.
That'd be a good move.
And that it's going to be much more open world, quest-based, more like what you would get from, not fully, but more like a World of Warcraft or that kind of a go explore the world, interact with people in different areas type of a situation, as opposed to just teleporting to these specific locations. Okay. I think it's going to be more of what they originally envisioned for the game and the kind of promise that they sold us on originally.
Okay. Can I make one more?
Go ahead.
Can you do one more or no?
I'll try. Go ahead.
Number 0.5.
Number 0.
Small prediction. I think that at E3, Sucker Punch is going to announce another Infamous game.
Ooh, that would be a good one.
And this is another chance. It may be a prequel of The Second Son.
Okay, so how would it fit in story-wise? What do you mean by a prequel?
Because it goes Infamous 1, 2, and then there's a gap of, I think, about between 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like 5 years, yeah.
Before Second Son.
Uh-huh.
It's going to take place between those years.
Okay.
And it's going to follow a storyline that Cole, spoilers, died.
Right.
And it's going to follow the person, this is all speculation, but it's going to follow the person who worked with Cole McGrath in the second game, that FBI agent who gained superpowers and what had the freezing powers.
That's right. I hated that stupid mechanic of gaining superpowers so you had like 2 superpowers. That was so dumb. That was not a good choice.
I loved it.
I did not.
I love number 2. It's my favorite one.
I liked a lot of things about number 2, but that was one of the things I really didn't like. I didn't like gaining new
Sucker
powers.
Punch is going to announce their next game.
Okay.
It's going to be Infamous related, and it's going to be a prequel to one of the games.
Okay.
Preferably following one of those characters from the second one.
Okay.
So kind of 4 predictions in one.
Cool.
Do you have another prediction yourself?
I think that...
You can do responses too, like I think the crowd's gonna be this, or the sales are gonna be this, or whatever. Like,
I kind of did responses for Microsoft. Nintendo, I kind of threw that in there.
Final Fantasy 7 comes out this year.
Okay, if you say so. That's a bold prediction.
You can predict that Final Fantasy 7 does not come out this year because remember they're doing it in parts.
Yeah, I highly doubt that that's coming out anytime soon.
I think that Final Fantasy 7 demo for Part 1 will come out with the release of a bundle edition for Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, that would actually make sense. Kind of like how they put out the demo for
Final Fantasy,
15.
Yeah.
That's actually, I could see them doing that this year.
I was going to say something about how bad the sales are going to be for the Switch, but...